happy Monday. For today's Monday Musings, I decided to make a video because I have quite a lot to share about what's happening around the studio and our transition from 2023 into 2024. And I thought that doing a video would be a little bit more of a succinct way of sharing these updates. Now, if you've been following along and you opened your email that I sent to you last week, you all will know that Danielle has been in the hospital since just before the New Year's with a partially collapsed lung and some fluid in her lung. She was transferred just yesterday or the day before to a hospital in Portland to get surgery and some further care. She has a firm diagnosis now. She's had surgery. She'll be in the hospital for another 5 days. She will likely be out for teaching for the remainder of this month as she heals from the last 2 weeks, which is definitely not how she wanted to bring in the new year or how we as a community wanted to bring in the new year. In addition to that, on Tuesday of last week, I went and had you might hear the dogs tussling in the background. Can never film a video without the dogs deciding that that is the time to play. And since I am in my bedroom, this is where they're hanging out and they're playing. So hopefully you can hear me all right over the sound of their playful banter. So as I was saying, on Tuesday of last week, I had an appointment with my naturopath, which was just a routine follow-up appointment. And she noticed when she was taking my vitals that my heart rate was slightly elevated. After I got done with my appointment, I went and taught my yin class and started having some pain and discomfort in my hips and in my legs. And before I went to bed on Tuesday evening, I spiked a fever. And it started as a very low-grade fever at around 99. By the time it started as a really low-grade fever, around 99. By the time I went to bed, my temperature was 101.77, which normally wouldn't be in that dangerous territory, but because I am currently in chemotherapy, that is a warning sign. Any temperature over 100.1, I have to call the cancer center. I really wasn't feeling well and almost fell immediately asleep on Tuesday night. And so I didn't call the cancer center, but I woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and took my temperature, and it was 101.77 still. And we have a pulse ox here at the house. And so I also used the pulse ox to see where my heart rate was because I was feeling kind of just faint and off. And I had a resting heart rate of somewhere between 140 and 150. Now, normally my resting heart rate is somewhere between 60 and 75. So it was very rapid, and I called the cancer center and they immediately sent me to the ER. So we showed up to the ER on Wednesday morning at around 4 o'clock in the morning. And we were there until around noon before they discharged me and sent me home. They ran a plethora of tests. One of the tests that they ran for me, which is routine anytime you go into the ER these days, is a COVID test. And my COVID test came back positive. So COVID and I are apparently very good friends, and it just keeps wanting to visit me again and again. So I got a prescription for Paxlovid, and today was my last dose of the Paxlovid. I'm feeling much better overall today, but I'm still not feeling great. And of course, treatment last week was postponed because, number one, I can't go into the cancer center with COVID, and number two, I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't really want to go into the cancer center for treatment. Hopefully this week treatment will be back on track, but I do have to have a negative COVID test for that to happen. So we'll see. So needless to say, the transition from 2023 into 2024 has been a really rough one, and not the way that we wanted to ring in the new year in any way and at all. It is becoming more and more challenging to continue to keep the studio afloat in the way that we need to keep it afloat. And with Danielle being out the last 2 weeks, that's taken a really big hit for us as well. And there's nothing more than I want than to keep the studio going and to continue moving forward so that we can continue to be there as a community resource and a movement space and a plant shop and a massage place and all the things and all the ways that we show up in the community. But I have been really kind of bummed, to be honest. You know, between like the end of the year is always a little challenging for me. I tend to miss my family a lot and the family traditions that we, had growing up. And I can't tell you the last time that I got to spend the holidays with my parents because they live in Arizona. And while I'm so grateful for the family and friends that I do have here, it's still, mentally and emotionally is challenging for me. And I think that this year was particularly challenging for me because of everything that I have been going through. And so I've been thinking a lot lately just about what's next. I have 4 chemo treatments left. So if everything were to stay on track, I should be done the first week of February now. I was due to be done the last Thursday in January, and I was counting down the days, and then COVID happened. And there's just so much that we don't have control over. And I keep trying to figure out and find the lessons that the universe is trying to teach me through this entire process. And I, for the life of me, am struggling to figure it out. And as much as, I hear people say, oh, you're so strong, you're so brave, you're so fill in the blank. I don't know that I've ever been more challenged in my life. I don't know that I've ever had to lean on the tools that the path of yoga has taught me more than in the last 6 months. And that's just from a very internal space, right? Everything in my life has changed since May 17th of 2023. And then when you add on top of that, the, fluctuating market of running a small business, when you add on top of that, one of the most pivotal people in your support system in a small business also having her own personal crisis. When you add on top of that, trying to raise a 15-year-old whom has not been very kind to me, who has decided that I am currently what's wrong with his life. When you add on top of that being separated from family, and it all gets to be too much. And I am doing everything that I can to hold it all together, to continue to be able to have the business, but it's becoming increasingly difficult. And I feel like we have, run out of fundraising options. And everybody, the community has been so great in jumping in and helping us and, helping us raise money through GoFundMe. And all of that money has gone into keeping the business going, into paying payroll and rent and the bare minimum of the overhead of the business. And that, along with memberships, have been great. And I was looking forward to coming into 2024 and being able to bolster our memberships and being able to run a fun challenge for our community. And the universe had other plans. And it's been really hard. And if I'm being very honest with you all, I am currently in a state of constant overwhelm. It's becoming harder and harder to go to treatment every week. I am starting to get some really kind of weird symptoms that are quite common but very uncomfortable from chemo, and that includes some damage on my nails. And so currently my fingers, like underneath my nails, it's very hard to show up on camera, but it is as if there's blood pooling in the space underneath my nails. And so my fingers all feel like they've been slammed in a door jamb and they're bruised, and it hurts to touch things too hard. It's hard to pick up things. It's not neuropathy. It's something like different from neuropathy. And my care team has told me that it's very common, but it's very uncomfortable. And, it's becoming harder and harder and harder to make myself want to go to the cancer center each week to get my treatment. And I just really want things to go back to normal, whatever that is. And I want to continue to show up as a leader for the community and to be able to teach and to do all of those things. And honestly, I don't really know how to do that. I don't really know how to do that and how to continue to be in cancer treatment as well. Because while I only have 4 chemo treatments left, I still have a month of radiation to follow. Artemis, come here. The puppy is yelling at me right now. Come here. Come here. And so, I've been just kind of thinking a lot and trying to rack my brain of ways that I can continue to do both. And at this point, I don't really know. And I am trying to be as honest and transparent with you all as I possibly can about it. Come here. Come here. Hi. Yeah, I'm trying to be as transparent as I can about it all, because I don't want anything to come as a shock for you all. We are in our 5th year of business officially. January 1st was officially the beginning of our 5th year of business. Don't chew on your tail. And this really isn't how I thought 5 years of business would go. But it is what it is. And you all have my promise that I will continue to do everything that I can to be here. If you are able to and interested in donating to our GoFundMe, you'll find a link in the description of this video. And, you know, every little bit counts. It would be great to raise some additional funds, not only to help the studio be able to survive, but to help Danielle pay some of her medical bills that might not be covered by insurance. 2 weeks in the hospital is not cheap. A transfer to another hospital and surgery is not inexpensive. So every little bit counts. A portion of the proceeds will go to help Danielle. The majority of the proceeds will go to keeping the studio and this community space alive. I love you all very much. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.